How are we, YouTube? So it's been a little while since I've done a video. Life just gets in the way sometimes, so apologies for not being on the channel and not keeping you guys updated. But, well, to be honest, we haven't had much in the way of action anyway. Work's been really busy, haven't had time to do anything on the trucks, the L322, the Defender, anything like that. So just been working really, but there is some good news. So last week we took delivery of the front runner roof rack for the new Defender, so as in the 2020 onward Defender 110. So I thought I'd do you a little part one video of getting the rack fitted, problems that I've had along the way, and we'll just look around the car and let you know the plans. But I don't think anything's changed since since you last checked in. So yeah, here's the old girl. There she is. Now, as you can see, I've got the bars, or whatever you want to call these, on the roof. Now, for some of you first watching this channel, I'm not a mechanic or anything like that, so this isn't my job. I've buggered about with Land Rovers for a very long time, but I'm not a mechanic, and I literally don't really know what I'm talking about. I just sort of fumble along and kind of try and make it work. So yeah, so if you're watching this for a true installation guide, well, you probably get it because this is a pretty basic thing, but yeah, just take it for what it is, because there's probably someone else out there better to advise you on in terms of installing your front runner roof rack. But this is part one. I'll tell you how we got the roof bars on, how easy that was, and then we'll have a look at the rack, and I'll sort of do a bit of a review on the rack, on the first impressions as well, because it's the first time I've had a front runner rack myself. So yeah, I'll let you know. But yeah, here she is. So basically the only option, well, the only additional thing at the minute was the tyres. The truck is filthy, so I mean, it is actually filthy. As you can see, the rear number plate no longer visible. But on a different note, we have now covered, it's not that much cleaner inside, I'll apologise for that, but we have now covered nearly 9,000 miles. So, good evening, even says hello. So yeah, so I will eventually do a review on the actual Defender and let you know what my thoughts are. I've done a little bit of a review already, as you've probably seen, but yeah, we'll do a bit of a review and I'll let you know. Interestingly, this car, which I only found out the other day, has got a preheater, which is pretty good, because this is a petrol car, it's not a diesel, and I didn't know you could get preheaters for petrol cars. So yeah, there's a little bit of information. Anyway, into the roof rack. So yeah, here we are, front runner stuff that comes with the, well, with the rack. Now, I've been using my ramp like this to stand on here and allow me to get up to the rack. So this bolts on to the OEM. So these are the standard holes in the Land Rover, on the Land Rover roof. So you don't need to do any any kind of messing around, fixing wires in terms of the roof itself. So basically the rack arrives, it comes in two, well, everything's in two sections really. So you get these front mounts here, and then just here, I don't know whether I'm doing a good, but just here, you join it together, and then the back section follows. So similar situation with the roof rack. The main rails actually come in two halves, and you bolt them together, which I didn't overly like the idea of at first, but to be honest, it's probably fine. So yeah, so we've got these on, and these are, again, these are super solid. Like, I don't know whether you can see the truck moving, but I mean, compared to the actual like Land Rover ones, these things are tough. So yeah, pretty impressed with that side of it. And from a side view, you see the difference between the Land Rover rack is the Land Rover rack only bolts from this point to the back, whereas the front runner rack comes further forward and utilises the front two holes in the roof. So the rack itself is much longer, which is something that I wanted to talk about because, as some of you may know, we're a family of four, and I've got a Defender 130, which has got an iCamper on the roof, and we've got tons of space. I'll cut a little video into here now of the 130, but we have tons of space on that roof. The roof tent fits on perfectly. It's just a really good setup for a family. But obviously, can't buy a 130 anymore, and well, yeah, I like building overland rigs, basically, which is a bit of a personal fetish. But so this is our rack on the floor here. I'm going to spin you around, let you have a look at it. Now, I've brought the table, so there's a table that kind of slots out from the side. Once I get the rack on, I'll show you how that works. But it's an optional extra. But I'll be honest, the Defender, I'll show you in the back in a minute, there's not a great deal of room in there. So I thought the more stuff I could sort of hide away on the rack, the better. So the rack's actually upside down. But this is the roof rack. So this is our table, and this comes with some brackets here. So these brackets will bolt onto the pre-drilled, these runners, and they sort of bolt on there, and then your table slides out off of your rack. Bad camera in. Off your rack like that, and obviously all of this is upside down. So this is the front of the rack with your wind deflector on. So that's the front wind deflector there, and then these are the areas where the side rails bolt together. So there's one here, and then they offset it. So there is also one over there. So it's offset. So there's one this side and one that side, which, you know, so it kind of works. But the big problem for me, and I've had my tape measure out, is that this is, in my view, this is the biggest rack. Genuinely, I think this is the biggest rack, along with the Brit Part roof rack that you can buy for the new Defender. It's the biggest rack you can buy. Now, the iCamper is 4 inches wider than this rack. This is the iCamper Sky Camp, so it's the biggest one. It's 4 inches wider and is 2 inches longer than this roof rack, which is going to cause some difficulties. Now, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to overcome it yet, but things like the awning, your side awning, will mount when this is flipped up. You have these gutters. So when this is flipped over the other way, there'll be a gutter down here. And when it's flipped over, with the iCamper going over, obviously across the top of it, you're not going to be able to mount anything in the gutter. That's going to cause a problem mounting the awning. So I can see there being a few issues already with this setup. Now, that said, I think the problem for this is right there. The problem is the new Defender. Now, I don't really know what Land Rover were thinking when they brought in this new vehicle and decided to make it wider. So it actually sits wider than the old Defender, but it cuts in at the top, and as a result has less roof space. So all of the roof racks that you can buy are smaller than what you would fit on a traditional or a proper Defender. So I don't really know what the thinking was behind it, because everyone that has a Land Rover Defender tends to have a roof rack, tends to use it, wants to go away with the family, kids, whatever, or whether they go shooting or whatever they use it for. Most of them that are used have a roof rack. So the idea behind creating this with a more slender roof line is a bit beyond me. But hey, it is what it is. So that's what we've got to work with. Now, yeah, that is my predicament. You can see from here how the roof bars actually angle back towards the center of the roof. So they angle themselves back in towards the middle, which is it's just a weird way of doing it. You know, on a normal Land Rover, the roof is, I want to say square, but it's rectangular, but it stays that way, if you know what I mean. So another little insight into the overland inside of the new Defender. Here we have rear door. Now, rear load space is not going to be all that great, I don't think. With the fridge in, we're probably looking at here, which I'd say is just over half of the usable space in the boot. Now, I don't know quite how that's going to work out, if I'm honest. We will see. We will see. But hence why I'm trying to put as much stuff on the roof, as I can. Now, whilst we're talking about roofs and we're looking at the front runner rack, I've had a bit of a problem. So this one here, now this is the bolt at the back of the rack. There's one on each side. You see it there. Now all of these ones here, and there's 2, 4, 6, 8 of them, are 13mm nuts. Really nice hard wearing nut. This one is a 10mm. And as a result, it's a captive nut, which is an absolute pain in the arse because Land Rover put them in with so much Loctite that you can't get the bloody things out. And I'm talking, I took that out as gently as I could, and it started spinning. Yes, it started spinning. What an absolutely terrible design from Land Rover. I mean, who uses like a captive nut? A rivet nut would have been better. And even that on a production, like, you know, an actual manufacturer's spec vehicle would be a bodge, in my opinion. So yeah, terrible design. So be really careful getting your old fixings out of your roof. Another thing is that they use a Torx piece, but it's not a traditional six-headed Torx piece. It's a 5. So you have to search for them because they're not very common, and it's a real pain when you order new tools, you get them to do your roof rack, and then it's the wrong tool. So yeah, it's a Torx security fixing, and it's got 5 points, not 6. So just keep that in mind if you're doing anything with the original OEM roof rack or whatever, anything on your roof at all. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and then I'll pick up part 2 will come tomorrow or maybe on Thursday, and that will be us getting the rack on. I'll show you with the rack mounted and the table mounted, how the table works, and then part 3 will be getting the iCamper on and getting the awning on. So I've ordered a new awning, and I'm debating ordering the new iCamper 3 because my current iCamper is an iCamper 2, but I'm not sure on that yet because they're an awful lot of money, and to be honest, we can only sleep in one tent at a time, so I don't know. But yeah, that's where we're at so far. So it's good to see you guys. Like I say, I'm sorry I've not been on the channel for ages. I will try and keep some more content coming, and certainly let you know. Oh, interestingly, I've also booked. Yes, I've booked. So not my normal thing, but I've booked a trip around Scotland with I don't know. They call it an overland guide, but I don't know. I've never done anything like that before. But Scotland's notoriously really difficult to be able to go off-roading or any green laning. It's illegal to go off-roading in Scotland. So you have to pay the estates to actually travel on their land. And I don't know anyone in Scotland. I've always wanted to do Scotland. So we've paid for a 5-day trip around Scotland in May, June. I think it's in June. I think it's next month. I'm going to film it for you all. So yeah, I've got a GoPro now, so I'll film it for you guys. So you'll come along with us on the trip. The Defender's going to be there. I don't know whether we'll have the winch bumper on and the other bits and pieces because deliveries are so slow. Like I've ordered, I mean, the winch bumper is coming from Australia. Don't know where it is. Ordered it about 2 months ago, or whenever we last caught up. I ordered everything pretty much at the same time. So I've got the roof rack now. I'm still waiting on rock sliders. I'm still waiting for a winch. So who knows what state it'll be in, but hopefully we can get up to Scotland. We'll get up to it, whatever the condition the truck's in anyway, and we'll see how good she is off-road. It's definitely done a bit of off-roading, and I'm very impressed with it, but nothing that I've filmed for you guys yet, but I will do. And like I said, I'm going to film Scotland, so hopefully you'll see some good content of the Defender getting its boots muddy and getting some proper use. So yeah, I'll catch up with you soon. Cheers, guys. In a while.